get into item 11 here, which is repair left and right rocker panels. You can see how these are starting to rust out in areas, and they're kind of beat up right there where the door hinges were sagging, allowing the door to bang into it. But surprisingly enough, these have been replaced before, but down low they're not rusted through down here. They're just poorly tied in with the rest of the cab, so we need to go through and weld that up and fill that seam and make it look decent. And it's actually still in pretty good shape on the back side too, which is why we're not recommending that you replace the rocker panels. Let's just fix what we have here, which is going to be less expensive. You can see how it kind of ties into the cab corner and stuff here too, which we'll get to in a moment. Let's take a look at the driver's side rocker panel. Again, some of this stuff we've already actually started repairing, got a little ahead of ourselves, but we've seam sealed that up, fixed that. Up here we've got a pretty nasty dent that needs to get fixed. Got ahead and seam sealed that up there, and then fixed some rust where that pillar meets the rocker panel on this side. And then let's move on to the last item, which is number 12, which is replace left and right lower cab corners. You can see these have been replaced already once before, but what they've done is just lapped the metal right on top of the old cab and then kind of scab welded it together, which makes for a nasty joint, especially at that seam with that body line where you're trying to fill that and blend it together and make it match up with the factory body line, because it's going to curve around and meet the door right there. Take a look at it from the inside here. Proper way to do that would be to lap that panel so that those two planes join up in the same spot on the outside. Take a look at the passenger side here. You can see kind of how nasty that seam is. Some of the deep grinding marks and weld marks in that. You can see how beat up that corner is as well. Again, take a look down on the inside here. So, yeah, we can do a better job than that and make that look like it should and be strong. One last thing here. This is not an item on our list, but we're going to weld up this seam. Somebody cut into that portion of the cab, presumably to get inside to fix rust damage. And it's like this on both sides. You can see where it is in relationship to the cab here. You don't see that. It's under the fender, but that box is what channels all the water from the cowl down and away, and you don't want air and water leaking through that spot. So we'll just weld that up as part of the cab repairs. It's not a line item for that. Okay, we're going to start with the bed portion of the supplement estimate here. Line 13, which is repair dents in left and right running boards. And it's not so much dents as it is rust pitting. There is some denting here on this corner. It's kind of boogered up a little bit, needs some love. But you get a lot of deep rust pits and things like that. This just gives us a little time to go through and clean up the stuff that you're going to see before it all gets painted. Yeah, you can really see right there where the fender bolts down to this, how it's starting to pit out into the areas that are beyond just where those two pieces meet each other. This is the other side. Again, these parts aren't that bad, and they'll clean up pretty easily. See some pitting there. Little dent. Okay, so let's move on here to line 14, which is replace left and right inner bed sides. This will be pretty self-explanatory. Here's your bed sides laid out here on the sawhorses. A lot of repair has been done to these previously, and because it's just one big flat panel, whatever happens to one side you see on the other. And it's pretty obvious how nasty this stuff is, and it's not really repairable at this point. It just needs to be replaced if it's ever going to look right. A lot of deep rust pits, patches. There's a lower bed rail on the other side, which is what you're looking at here. It's welded to that panel. I'll show you the other panel here. And you're looking at the exterior side of these panels. Again, it's going to be cheaper to replace these than to try to repair them. On the other side, that's the bed rail that was welded to it, but you can see just how ate up with rust this is into this area. Both sides pretty much like that. Okay, we're going to move on to item 15, which is replace left and right fenders. And this will be pretty self-explanatory when you see this one. You can see how many times this thing's been rusted out, patched up, rusted out. Just all up and down along that mounting flange there. Not in good shape at all. You can see there's a huge patch that was done. And just what that looks like from the outside here. Top is really beat up, mostly from rocks flying off the tires, beating it from the inside out. Get it in the light, you can really see just how beat up the whole top of this fender is. They're both the same way. Again, another big nasty patch panel down here on this corner. Here's the other side. You can see with the light reflecting off of it just how rough the top of that fender really is. And again, more of the same with these patches welded in to cover up big rust holes. So these, like the inner fenders, it's going to be cheaper to replace these than to try to repair this. Move on to the line 16, replace front bed panel. This is the front bed panel here. And while it's not that beaten up, it's really rusty at the bottom. You can see how rusty that thing is. It's getting close to rusting through in a lot of places. The pits are so deep. Flip that over. There certainly are dents in it, but that is the front bed panel. See those dents across there too. And then the very last item here, line 17, replace tailgate. Let's take a look here. You can see a big nasty patch that was done, presumably over rust. And because this tailgate is just one flat panel, whatever happens on the inside happens to the outside. Some rust pits and rust holes. Can you flip that over for me? And it's kind of hard to see, but it's just really wavy. Lots of deep rust pits all down the length of the tailgate, especially along the bottom.
And it is bowed.
It's bowed. And it's beat up around the letters, and I know this stuff is hard to see in a video, but it'd be pretty much impossible to get that flattened out around the letters as with all the little waves and dents and things that are going on here. Because again, whatever happens on the inside of the tailgate shows up on the outside of the tailgate because it's just one panel. Better to replace this, cheaper to replace it than to try to fix it. And that's all. Thank you.